8 a.m. at Sefton's Sixth Form College. The results envelopes are out, waiting to be opened by nervous hands.
Okay, got ABC.
DDD.
Mason Lee McIntyre was relieved to get the grades he needed to go off to university to study law.
Over the moon. Joy, I can't really put into words. Literally what I wanted. I've had nightmares about this day, to be honest with you, and just looking on Newcastle and finding that I've gone to my firm choice, it's literally the best thing that could actually happen.
Yeah, we were really nervous.
No, I wasn't.
Yes, you were.
I wasn't.
Zara and Nina are pretty happy with their results.
I didn't really get the grades I wanted, but I still got good grades. I'm taking a gap year to work. Yeah.
I'm going to the University of Manchester.
Some didn't get their predicted grades, but were still accepted by their chosen universities, who need students and were prepared to be flexible. Top A-level grades have risen for the first time since 2021, with almost 28% of students getting an A or A star. In England, the percentage of top grades increased slightly. They fell in Wales and Northern Ireland, although they still outperformed England. It was always the plan that this year grades in Wales and Northern Ireland would fall back in line with pre-COVID levels. More students from disadvantaged backgrounds will be going to university. Over 27,000 18-year-olds have accepted places, a rise of 7% on last year. But there are wide and widening attainment gaps between independent and comprehensive schools and the north and south. In the northwest, 25% of students got an A or A star, but in London it's 31%. The government said poverty had created stark educational disparities. At Hugh Baird College in Bootle, students can take more vocational routes to university or work. Emily Blanco did a BTech in art and design, and she aced it.
I've gotten a distinction star, distinction, and I'm really happy about it.
I bet. Were you expecting that?
Not really. I was expecting much lower, but I'm really happy I got it.
Emily's off to do a degree in comics and graphic novels. Obed Idem Ibitoya's engineering course helped him win an apprenticeship with Northern Rail.
How will you feel on the first day when you turn up for your apprenticeship?
Same way I'm feeling now. A bit nervous, but happy. I'll be willing to learn, willing to work, willing to, get stuck in.
These are nervous times for universities too. At Liverpool Hope University, clearing's in full swing.
For that course you require 88 UCAS points.
The lion's share of their funding is tuition fees. They haven't kept up with inflation, but universities need every student they can get.
Just how tough are finances, and how important was it to hear today that the government is looking at reforming university financing?
It has been a challenging period. Every student is important and every fee is important. It's really important to think about what we're using that for as well. Fundamentally, we're in the business of educating students and investing back in student experience and making sure that the students succeed the best that they possibly can.
The government says it knows the financial pressure universities are under.
I'm determined to reform the system to make it work in the interests of the taxpayer, but also of institutions and students too. But after 14 years, the system's in a mess. The previous government kicked the can down the road, and we will need to take the time to make sure we get this right so that university is an option that's there for talented young people.
Liverpool Hope University is proud that half its students are the first in their families to do a degree and experience everything university has to offer.
Well, Baroness Jackie Smith is the new Minister for Higher Education. I spoke to her earlier and asked if the record number of disadvantaged students getting a university place this year are actually getting value for money.
Well, first of all, it's a very good thing that there are more students getting their first choice offers, and that there are more, for example, disadvantaged students, as you say, who are having that opportunity. The problem is that there still are too many inequalities with the way in which people are getting into university. You stand much more of a chance from some geographic regions, from some backgrounds, than you do for others. And that's something that we're really committed to challenging and to making improvements in. As to whether or not they're getting value for money, well, I think you know, there is an enormous benefit to be had from going to university in terms of your lifelong earnings, but obviously, of course, all the other things that you get from university as well. The problem is that we make sure that that option is open to people regardless of their backgrounds.
You talk about lifelong earnings. I mean, fewer than 2/3 of university graduates are in full-time jobs at 15 months after graduating. Is that really worth the £9,000 a year in fees that they're paying?
Let's not forget, Cathy, you know, we've got world-leading universities in this country. We've got 4 out of the top 10 universities in the world. We've got 15 out of the top 100 universities in the world. So this is something that we should be proud of, and it's an enormously important opportunity.
You say you're proud of Britain's universities, but they're facing an unprecedented financial struggle. I mean, some of these students could be going to universities that are on the point of going bust. Are you in talks with some of those institutions that are on the point of collapse?
Look, universities are independent organisations. They've got to make decisions themselves about how they run themselves as effectively as possible. But they also need a bit of understanding and security about what's coming in the future in terms of their finances.
And yet your boss keeps on ruling out options. So she's made very clear, for example, in recent days, that you won't be increasing tuition fees to give universities more funding. Neither will you overturn the visa restrictions, which the last government introduced, which have led to a decrease in international students, which universities depended on for their finances. So how are you going to address this black hole in their funding?
When it comes to overseas students, we have actually taken a much more open and welcoming approach to overseas students than was the case of the last government.
If you're so welcoming of them, why not lift some of those restrictions?
It doesn't require us to change the current immigration position for students. What people hear is very important to them in terms of whether or not it's worthwhile coming to the UK to study. In actual fact, what we've seen today with the UCAS figures is for undergraduate students, there's about a flat level of overseas students. But I take your point that people may well have been put off coming to this country, not so much by policy changes, but by the sort of rhetoric that the last government used against them. Well, we're setting a different tone, and we think that will be heard across the world. You are welcome to come and study at the UK's world-class universities, alongside actually the increased number of UK 18-year-olds who are going into receiving their offers and going into university this year as well.
But, you know, it's the postgraduate international students who have declined, and just sort of saying they're welcome might not be enough. They want to bring their family members with them. You're not going to overturn those restrictions. So is it really going to change?
Well, I think, you know, we need to wait and see, because the postgraduate numbers for international students come later on down the track.
You're saying wait and see, but these universities are facing massive funding problems right now. Are you willing to see a university go bust? Because there are some institutions, you'll know where they are, that are at that point now.
Yes, if it were necessary, yes, that would have to be the situation. But I don't want that to be necessary. I want us to find a way for there to be financial stability for universities, and most importantly for the students that they are serving into the future. And that is what we are working on.
Baroness Smith, thank you very much.
Well, joining me now is Deputy Vice-Chancellor and Provost at Kingston University, Professor Helen Lville. You heard there, the new Labour government is not going to overturn the ban on most overseas students being prevented from bringing family members to the UK. What impact's that going to have on you financially?
Well, we're working very hard to persuade and to let university students, potential university students overseas, know that we're open for business and that we welcome them. We welcome their contribution, and we've got something distinctive to offer them. We really do develop programmes that give them employability skills, that give them access to researchers and access to specialists. So I think we're working really hard to make sure that we've got a great product, a great experience for students to sell. And the work the government's been doing to reinforce that message that university students from international destinations are welcome here is a really good message.
Our fact-check team has been looking at this very issue this week, and at Kingston University, I think around 70 million of your income, about 30% overall, comes from overseas students. You need that money. You rely on that money, don't you?
We do need that money, and across the sector, this is not just Kingston University. You could go to any university in the UK and talk about the fact that they have been using that overseas income to manage the fact that in home fees have not kept up with inflation. So there has been a cross-subsidy that's been going on. But universities are working really hard to manage their finances, to make effective use of the resources that they have, and to keep investing to keep the university attractive. But we do need long-term solutions across the sector for the situation that we're in higher education.
You would like that policy changed, those immigration restrictions reversed, right?
I think there's lots of ways that we could improve our offer for overseas students. There's things that the universities that could do, there's things that the university sector could do, there's things that the government can do. We're working to make sure that our offer is really attractive to students. One of the things that people are worried about is students having visas and coming here and not really developing the skills that they're paying for. And so we're certainly making sure that our future skills offer for students is making them more employable. So I think that's what the public want to see. They want students coming here and getting a great experience. And yes, being welcoming in every way we can to get those students to come and study at English universities, British universities that really offer fantastic programmes for students.
If the Education Secretary was sitting here right now, how much would you tell her that university fees domestic students pay should be?
I think that that's a really difficult question because students are worried about the sticker price, if you like, even though they don't pay that back straight away. And experts on university science and people like Martin Lewis will talk about the fact that it's still a really great investment for students. But I think we do need to look at whether it's sustainable to keep the fees as they are. They were frozen as a temporary measure in 2017 and haven't moved since. And that means they're worth £6,500 about. And we have to be realistic about the demands we put on universities. I'm sorry?
How much should they be?
I think we have to look at what we can deliver. It's a question of what they should be and what people can expect from universities. So you can't keep asking universities to deliver the mental welfare that we deliver to people, the community work that we do, all of the demands that you put on universities with a fixed fee that is, because of inflation, decreasing. So I think we have to look at that. But we also have to look at student support, for example, student maintenance loans, which haven't moved either, and is causing students cost of living issues that's making it really difficult for them. So there's a really significant piece that goes beyond, I think, just saying one price for something.
It doesn't sound like the new government would step in to intervene if a university were about to go bust. We've heard that tonight. Does that surprise you?
It doesn't surprise me. I think it's slightly the wrong question. So I think we have all focused on this idea of what if one university goes bust and what would happen in that particular situation. And the fact is it's not one university, it's not even two universities. Pretty much all universities are having this problem. It's a sector-wide problem. So I don't think stepping in to deal with one university, to support one university, is the way we should be thinking. That's very much a sticking plaster. Our university sector organisations such as University Alliance and Universities UK have been talking about the fact we need to think about this as a sector. We need to act in ways that will protect the sector and the country and protect the fantastic education and research that our universities offer. So I think focusing on one university or two universities is not the right way to think about this problem.
Professor Helen Lville from Kingston University, thank you so much for speaking with us.